Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran, welcoming you on behalf of Team Springboard. This is your most inspirational show and that place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse and the Enterprise Group, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So far, so good in trying to find ourselves and live our dreams. And the more we hear different perspectives on the matter, the more we want to explore. Today, we stay with that subject. How do we find ourselves, and who in actual fact is the real you? Helping us unpack the subject today is somebody who wears different caps. I think that's one of the good qualifications to be an authority in this subject. Wears different caps as an actor, event organizer, broadcaster, director, and an imitation of the president. The one and only Judge Quaye. Judge, good to see you.
I like the last one.
Yeah.
Anybody here with round glasses?
Self-imposed.
Yeah. Good evening, fellow Ghanaians. Welcome to the Springboard.
Good to see you, Judge.
Good to see you, Senior Mowe.
How are you, sir?
God is good. We're blessed every day. Indeed. So we have life.
Indeed. And let me congratulate you on the hottest topic in town. The gods are not to blame. Absolutely incredible. I immersed myself in that production and the tears were natural. I loved it. Well done.
Thank you very much. Let's give the kudos to the cast and the other crew members. They put in a lot of work to make that production spectacular. I mean, and God came through for us. What people don't realize is that because of the size of the cast, we never really had the opportunity to rehearse it fully before I went on stage. I think we did that just once. You know, we had like 3 months of rehearsal, but we're able to run through it with the entire team, everybody on board just about once. But even that, we couldn't do it complete with sound, lights and everything, the stage, the set design. So the very first show was actually like our technical dress rehearsal.
Seriously?
It was just by grace. The very first show was our technical dress rehearsal on the 2nd of December, 2023.
Nashoko sat in this same chair and I asked the question about which one is more difficult, film and theater, and her words were that film you can edit.
Oh, film is child's play.
Film live.
Film cut. Oh yeah. So the way you turn this way and the line, he was there. It was she. It's a girl. So if theater, you make a mistake, you're gone.
My goodness.
Yeah. I keep recounting an incident at Legon where I think it was Ajiti Anan and I were acting in a play called Tobias and the Angel. Mrs. Diana Hobson was in that play as well. And there was a scene where I had to take off my shirt. The auditorium, drama studio, open air. People were even sitting on the walls. Commonwealth boys, that's where they like to sit.
Be careful what you say about Commonwealth.
Oh, but that's true. They don't like sitting. And it was packed, so there were no chairs. This guy was sitting on the wall at the back. I took off my shirt and the guy shouts from the back, Abuajo, what time? And Pusha whispers my ear, on stage. Yeah. And when you're not mic'd, drama studio, we're not mic'd, you have to project, so you can speak to your fellow actor on stage and the audience will not hear. I nearly love to spoil the play.
Tell me about
some of these things.
Tell me about the experience of being in the thick of events when you are acting. People are, it's fiction and people are crying, they're immersed, they're applauding. How does it feel when you are in the action?
When you're not getting the kind of response you expect from the audience, it's like a car running on red. You're almost out of gas. Because there are things that you expect from the audience to give you energy. That is why the most difficult place you can perform in is any play you're performing to an empty auditorium. No play is ever bad. If the auditorium is empty, it doesn't matter how good the play is, it is always difficult for actors. Very, very, very difficult. Because then you cannot tell whether you're performing or you're just reciting lines. There's a difference. You could be reciting lines, but it's not a performance. A performance, you get a reaction. you get the cheers, you get the shout, you get the laughter, you get everything. And it energizes you, it fuels you, it encourages you. It is like you're getting instant, a response, feedback, and you know that you did it well. You know that, oh yeah, you rocked it. For instance, I recall when I joined one of the rehearsals and the gods are not to blame, when I said, okay, Charlie, we've done everything, but this scene, the very last sequence, when the man who was supposed to go and kill the king came in and all that, his reaction, I figured that side was boring. So I said, okay, let's exaggerate the king's temper a bit more because the conflict is about to be resolved. It's going down now, but let's get the audience to react, to wake people who are sleeping up. So I figured, okay, hold the man and throw him into the crowd. I said, oh, but what would that do? I said, do it, let's see. And the first day that he did it, the reaction from the audience when he held Bunka and threw him into, it was crazy. So those little, you need to put in things that would also wake the audience up. Because you see, on radio.
What kind of skill do you need to do to get that? Are you taught in school? Do you measure? Is it like a barometer? What kind of skill do you need to be able to say the tempo will drop here a little?
Yeah.
Let's fire it.
You need to, when you're going to direct a play, you must have read the play or experienced it God knows how many times. I always say I would not be able to direct a play that I've just picked up for the first time. I won't be able to. You need to give me time with the play. Give me like 6 months with the play.
Is directing more difficult than acting?
Yes, directing is a lot more difficult than acting. Way difficult. One of the key skills in directing is selecting the talents to deliver the role. Choosing who to play any role is key to the delivery of the entire play. The directing is difficult because you must have watched the story in your head time and again. And you don't just watch it. You need to watch it from the perspective of the audience because then it's like customer service. You're offering something to a customer. How will the customer receive it? What message do you want the customer to leave the auditorium with? How do you want the customer to feel? What kind of emotions do you want the customer to express? What kind of feelings do you want the customer to go through? How do you want the masses to feel? What message do you want to put out there? You can stage a play that would trigger a coup. You can stage a play
in real life.
Yes, in real life. You can stage a play that will trigger a coup. It all depends on how many people see the play.
How powerful is theater?
Theater is as powerful as communications. Theater is as powerful as a man telling a woman, I love you, or it's over, we're getting a divorce. It can shatter a life. Theater is as important and as strong as you being told you're fired from work and you don't even know what you have done. Theater is as important as your political party approaching you and saying, we want you to run for president. It is life-changing. Theater is the ultimate mirror of society. It is what guides and shapes society in a certain direction. If that society appreciates and values theater and helps to develop and grow it. For, years, and theater has been a part of us. I keep telling people from childhood, from the days we used to gather around the fire and somebody gets up to tell a story. If you read the history of theater, that's how it started. When in the Greek world, they used to have what they call the good songs or the tragic songs where they were singing the songs for theater. It used to be songs, poetic songs and stuff like that. And then one day a gentleman called Thespis stood up from the chorus. They used to call it chorus. Stood up from the chorus and spoke back to the chorus. And that was the birth of theater. That is why theater performers are also known as thespians. So when you bring it to our space, ours started from the storytelling space, where somebody would get up, narrate and announce a story. That person is at that point the performer. You understand? And then somebody will get up and say something, then we'll start a song, they will sing together, then the story would continue. As time went on, they started enacting those stories, performing those stories, instead of just one person telling them. And that was the growth of our theater. The reason over here, it's still yet to make the kind of money it's supposed to make is that at that point, we're consuming it for free. So some free elements, now
you went to the West End to go and watch something in there.
Exactly. Outside you'd go, you pay for it. But over here, we started getting it for free in our homes, in our backyard. When musicians were going to perform in various places, they would have they would have something they call comedies. They would have a small artistic troupe follow them, but that's what they would do before the show itself. And that one was like a free, like a giveaway. So people had gone to pay for a music concert, but they would get theater for free because that would be like a non-ever started show before the main show. So people haven't grown to appreciate theater as something they need to pay for.
But that has changed now, hasn't it?
It is changing, but it's still not, because I can bet my last city that people would pay 700 cedis to see Sarkodie on stage, but they will not pay even 300 cedis to watch The Gods Are Not to Blame.
So let me take you back to what we call here the resurrection of theatre.
Yeah.
People like Uncle White,
Yes, the legendary
Latif Abubakar,
Yes.
yourself, and
Chief Moomen, Francis Nutako, General Tatia.
And let me commend you on something. I follow and watch how on social media, anytime what others want to call your competitor is doing something, you either attend or you promote their work happily. Is it a subculture that you guys have developed, or something that you've personally committed to?
Because I don't have a competitor.
Why?
Because we're trying to grow something. The musicians have a lot of competition because music is established, it is grown. They get their royalties, they get their everything, they get it, they make their money. They have a right to compete. We cannot compete because we are now growing something.
It's too early.
Ghanaians haven't come to accept theatre just yet. We cannot say that we're fighting and we're competing with this, we're competing. No. If we do not learn to hold each other's hands so that we can go far, it will collapse before
Is there a
we
shared
even get
aspiration
anywhere.
among all of you, or is something that you think is personal?
It is me personal. I do not know but I see others also support my work, and
I've seen
I'm
people
grateful.
attend your
Yes.
show
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
It's
So I'm
very
grateful
commendable,
for
I
that.
must say.
Yes, we need to. If we do not do that, it's not going to work because theatre is still virgin in this country. It is now growing. It's getting there. Ghanaians have still not gotten to the point where they need to understand that it's premium. And you know what's funny, Ahmed? Rev, if you attend a Sarkodie concert, people don't realize that when you take away the music, everything else is theatre.
You have the distinguished honor of being somebody who has a talent, has had an education, and has experience. I won't add intuition. So let me say talent, education, almost like a T in golf.
And grace.
well, help me to appreciate the dance between the talent, the education, and the experience, and everything else you want to add as the icing on the cake.
If you'd recall, there was a day we had a conversation on your show on radio about talent. I think it was myself or Chama Quaye, and I think Uncle something, if I'm not mistaken. And I've always opined that talent alone is never enough. I did mention on that show too that there's a reason that the words that spell talent also spell latent. Latent means hidden. And talent, until it's discovered, is always hidden. There are many people in this world that are talented and they don't even know it yet. It is like looking at the Johari window and you're looking at your blind spot. There are things there that maybe other people may know, but you may not know. Sometimes when you go to school to get an education, that education will help you discover that talent. Once you discover that talent, applying that talent becomes another challenge. Let's say I'm an actor. Are you a great actor for radio? Are you a great actor for TV? Are you a great actor for screen? There are actors that may be very good for a specific kind of delivery, not necessarily for everything. That's another thing people don't know. So you could be an actor, all right, but you're not getting jobs. You're not delivering because you're probably an actor, but you're acting in the wrong space. Maybe you're on stage or maybe you're on screen. Maybe you should just be on radio, doing radio drama because you probably have a great voice. But when it comes to stage delivery, when it comes to eye contact, when it comes to body language, when it comes to mannerisms, because if you're on stage on your own TV, all aspects of your body is communicating. When you're on radio, only your voice is doing the work. That is why great writers know the difference between writing for the eye and writing for the ear, and when you should write for both. If I'm writing for radio, for instance, I am writing for the ear only. And you need to find a way for your script to communicate that so that the rest is left to the listener's imagination. So that writing that you're writing for the ear should also connect to the person's imagination so that they know how to weave it through. So for instance, if I'm watching a TV show or a movie, and then I get home and I take off my shirt and I hang it on something and it drops, the scriptwriter can just write straight away. It's not going to be in dialogue or anything. Blah, 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 blah. He gets home here. So the director, action. You get home, you enter the room, you just take the shirt off, you throw it, it falls.
No,
nothing. But when you're writing that scene for radio, you may probably have to find a way to put it in dialogue. So as soon as the person enters the room, maybe somebody, George, is that you? Yes. Okay, can you help me with the kitchen? I'm trying to put something on the top cabinet. All right, hold on. I just need to put my shirt on the... You understand? You need to find a way to let the audience know that he had to take off his shirt. Because it's radio. It's just audio. The listener would not know. So there's a difference. So these little things, they are very, very, very small, tiny nuances and skills and stuff that you need education to know.
Awesome.
You may not find it in many books, but when you go through school, you go through education, you go, and I keep telling people that even through school, it is not what you learn in the classroom, it is what you practice. When it has to do with a creative enterprise, practice is what's going to make you the best. It is not just what you read. What you read is necessary because you need a theory. If you're, some of us were lucky to get a theory. So you understand, you know that a play, for instance, you need a conflict. That conflict has to rise to crescendo, and then it has to be resolved. And then it needs to calm down. And you need to even know that the book tells you that when the conflict is, getting resolved and the thing is coming down.
Put some fire.
Yep. And that was what we did with the gods.
So is it science? So is it what component is science? What component is
everything is science. Rev, I'll tell you. Let us even look at the difference between the medical theater and the dramatic theater. I've always said this and people don't get it. Both places are saving lives. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because in the medical theater, somebody is on a...
As in surgery.
Yeah. Surgery.
Right.
They're trying to save a life and all that. When you come to the dramatic theater, what we do at the National Theater on stage, what Uncle Ibu White is doing, he's saving lives. Would you agree?
He articulated it in a very beautiful way. I mean...
Yes.
In private, because some of those testimonies were scary.
Yes.
But I'm learning.
Yes.
As in the case of also a preacher.
Yes.
That there are people who come literally on the brink.
But that play, they watch that play and their hearts are calm. Because somebody, if that person did not enter that theater, that person was going straight to commit suicide. There are people that they are so troubled, but that 1 hour in a theater, that laughter, that relaxation resets everything. There are people who sometimes when people's blood pressure is going, even in the Gods Are Not to Blame, there was a lady who, should I call it Down syndrome? Some of those, there was a lady, there was an actress and nobody even noticed. Guess what? This lady was actually recommended by a doctor that science cannot cure her. Science cannot help correct her speech. Science cannot help correct her mannerisms and all that. It's only theater that can. And if you speak to those at the National Theatre, they will tell you that since she joined them, between the time she joined them and now, there has been massive improvement. That is the... So I was even talking about the
when
difference.
you sit in the director's box, I'm going to come back still to my T.
Yes.
Talent, education, and will this fall in the experience box?
They all fall in. And you see, experience is even different. Experience, talent, and education. Like I said, experience comes from practice. Experience will not come from education. It will not come from talent. It comes from practice. Practice is driven by talent. Sometimes you may see something and you may... How did I get into acting? Way back, Association International, the school was going to stage a mock Commonwealth Summit. They needed somebody to play Rollins. There was a gentleman who was... What was his name? I've forgotten. Light skin, tall. He had the Rollins look. And I was watching the rehearsal. And this guy was not talking like Rollins.
How does Rollins talk?
You know the way he talks. So I'm going to enjoy. The other day I was talking to my wife, Nana, and I don't even know, the way he does it, now growing up, it's all gone. But I was watching it and I just shouted, but that's not Rollins. And I remember very well, our teacher at the time, who was teaching us at Greg Side, Mr. Akoto 10, and said, who said that? I said, me. He said, can you do it? I said, yes. And I did it. He said, that is a Rollins. And I got the role instantly.
No color.
Straight, no audition. That I just challenged somebody who was doing it. I said I could do it better. And then they gave me, and I played it. And Rollins loved it, congratulated us in the school, and that was it. I was in theater. it was shown on Uncle George Lane's Chichekule show. I remember Nana Kunedu was Honorable Kojo Yanka's daughter, Nana Mayanka. She played Nana Kunedu, and it was beautiful. And I've been in it since. That was not experience. That was talent that made me speak.
And
you understand?
Courage.
And a little bit of courage. A little bit of tunu kakra, and it worked, So then you would have it. And then as you do it, you get a lot more experience. You get to understand that, okay, when you're on stage, there's an upstage hand, there's a downstage hand. You need to understand you don't turn your back to the audience. If you need to do it, you need to do it for a particular purpose. Everything must be signal, everything must be connected. There are rules on the stage. Experience will teach you
how much of all this beautiful narrative, how much of all you're sharing with us about the dance between talent, experience, education, and everything in between is applicable outside the space of theater?
Theater is life. Everything you do on that stage, be you the lighting director, sound person, if you're even the one holding the camera, how you're composing that shot. Shot compositions also tell stories. If you zoom in, the camera people will tell you, if you zoom into someone's eyes, a choker, you're trying to carry the audience deep into the person's thoughts and all that. If you pull out and you give a wide shot, you're trying to let the person understand the entire surrounding, the composition and everything. So you want to go into somebody. So every little act, be you on stage or off stage, you're telling a story. So everybody has a role. That is life. Shakespeare said it, all the world's a stage. We men are mere performers, and each one of us in a lifetime has various roles to play. We have our entrances and our exits. When it's your time to play, you play. When it's your time to leave, you will leave. So that's it. Everybody, we are all performers. So all these little things, the grace, the talent, the education, the experience, all of it weaves into the very fabric of life. And at every point in our lives, we are performing. You are a man of God. Once you're on that stage and you're preaching, you're performing.
Am I?
Yes, you're performing. And I am sure if we gave you a script and said, Reverend Okra, we need you to play this role, you would deliver it mad.
Breaking news, I have just been inducted into the acting hall of fame. I won't even bother to be an apprentice. Straight into the hall of fame.
Straight, because you're a performer. Every preacher is a performer.
Springboard is your virtual university. You are learning today that every preacher, every broadcaster, every one of us is performing in one way or another. My guest, George Ama Quaye, helping us to discover or track back to the story of his life and his learnings on the journey. When I come back from this break, I'm going to find out what does it take to go out there with a play and get a play to be enacted 13 times back to back. What does it take to say, this is my last? I'm sorry, this is my last. No, one more time. This is my last. Who drives that? Is it the creativity of the performers and the team, or the appetite of an audience that just wants more and more and more? And can that appetite be controlled? Let me give you an enterprise advantage tip for today, which is about bundling up for savings. So the question for the day is, how can bundling insurance policies save you money? And it's simple. Combining your home, your auto, and other policies with the same insurer often leads to big savings and discounts. The reason is simple, because bundling is a smart way to maximize coverage while enjoying significant savings on your overall insurance costs. I'm sure you want to find out more. The number to call, 020-263-4777, or email info@myenterprisegroup.io. Enterprise definitely is your advantage. When we come back from this break, let's find out, did he originally want to go into theater? And now that he's in, what next? Please don't go away.
Hello? Bye.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird that will fly. Bird, bird is the bird that will fly. Bird is the bird that will fly. Don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is the bird that will fly. Bird is the bird. Everybody says about the bird that will fly. Bird. The bird is the bird that will fly. Bird. The bird is the bird that will fly.
To consider the implications.
Hello? Don't you know? Oh, yeah! Well, everybody knows that the bird is the word. When the bird, a bird, a bird, a bird.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
This be me, Kobe, aka Kobe Boga, KB for short. And this is my sweetheart, Obahima. Today, I get big surprise for her. Charlie, gone are the days I couldn't spoil my girl. Now I'm engaged to the woman of my dreams. Don't just look at my success. To get here, I had to follow the process. Out of nowhere, I lost my job. But I believe in humble beginnings. I got an idea that I knew I could grow. I started from a small setup, then invested in growing my own coconuts. I then grew my product lines. Now, I sell to many supermarkets in the country. Fellow young Ghanaians, trust the process and keep hope alive.
Take advantage of agri-business through the Ghana Grows program. Ghana Grows, Hope Day.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group and our friends at The Graphic. My guest for today, George Niama Quaye, helping us to find ourselves. And he's been telling us about the journey in theater, especially the aspect of talent, education, and also experience, shared the congruence or confluence, depending on where you want to see it, between medical theater and dramatic theater. Was it dramatic you called it?
Yes, dramatic theater and medical theater.
Medical. So he says both of them are saving lives and they take themselves as seriously as the doctors take themselves. So I've learned something new today. But George Quaye, in your childhood, did you think you would go into theater?
No. Myself, I never thought I wanted to be a thespian, as we call ourselves. I wanted to be a lawyer. And my dad, my mom, my siblings, everybody at home wanted me to be a lawyer. I recall at home in Kotobabi, I grew up in Kotobabi. We had a library at home. And it was compulsory. And my dad was buying newspapers, all the newspapers. I recall the guy that brings the newspapers home, when he comes, it's all of them set, you know. And sometimes when dad returns from work in the evening, when I'm in your graphic, and you have to, tell him what you've read, what you've seen, and all that. And then the books there, I recall books like the encyclopedias, the New Dictionary of Thoughts, stories like Haiti, Talents for Tomorrow. Ghana used to have a book called Talents for Tomorrow. That book had a lot of poems. My love for poetry developed from that book. And then, so I became a debater back in school.
My grandfather had this penchant of leaving books lying around.
Yes.
And it affected me very positively.
Yes.
Myself, it's a good idea.
Yes, it was a good idea, And I remember in those days, we had a video deck at home, but when my dad was going to work, he would lock it in his room. And sometimes when he comes home from work, you check the back of the TV to see if it's warm. Yeah. If the TV is warm, you have answers. You had to read. Yeah, just read. He would be happy when you read something. But of course, we'll sneak. Yeah, exactly. We'll find ways and means and all that. But today I'm grateful for that experience. So yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer. And Fansbom School, I joined the Writers and Debaters Club, but I also joined the Drama Club. But the Writers and Debaters Club were very tough. And interestingly enough, aside me, all my other fellow debaters are lawyers today.
Wow.
Yeah, one of them was best man at my wedding, and he's actually my business partner as well at Image Bureau. Alfred Ellis Arthur runs Ives and Ellis Solicitors, and then there's Edward Kujo, who's now with the EOCO, Economic and Organized Crime. There's Leslie Enim, who runs his own law firm, and so many others. I mean, almost all of them are lawyers, and we were a very strong debate team. But we were so strong, it got to a point when we were going for debate contest, and other schools realized it was us representing Phantom. They'll say, it's okay, they've won, you give it to them, it's okay. Wow. Because we were that good, So when I decided to go into theater arts, it was war at home. My dad didn't want to hear about it. And you cannot blame him. I mean, at the time, because I recall very well, you've been mentioning my full name, George Ni Amakwe. So he would call my Biba Bobiletwe, my mother's name, Auntie B. Biba Bobiletwe. You get there for a concert. That's how they would put it. So some of my siblings were even calling me concert boy. You get there for a concert. Mini concert. Then you sit me there and say, look, if you tell me you want to be an engineer, I can say, look at this engineer. This is his house. He travels look at his children. You told me you want to be a doctor. I can mention. You told me you want to be a lawyer. I can mention. You want to be an actor, to be like who? And I couldn't find an answer because no disrespect to them, but in the days, it was all the Super Odi, Ratamens, the people that we meet at Trotro Station, and we struggle over Trotro with them. Not people who were living the life. At that time, very few actors were actually living the life. A lot of the actors that we grew up looking up to were people that, you would see in town, struggling for trotro here, maybe walking.
So and parents' dilemmas.
So, they figure, and then you still become a burden, you become into, because they did not see money in the sector.
How important, and you bring up a very important point. We are doing a program that is trying to excite young people about opportunities in agribusiness, ATVET. And we find that you can have 30 shows. But when you produce one person, to use the words of my friend David Kubo, he says, forget it, Albert. Yeah. When I come and pack my Benz, I don't even have to talk. Yeah. Just the packing of the Benz is half the message.
It's half the message.
So he made the point that the story is easier told, or the effort is strengthened when the aspiring can see somebody who has an economic advantage as a result of pursuing that career path.
Exactly.
And that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I recall, I recently gave a talk somewhere and I was telling them that, look, if we really wanted to turn the agric space around, we need, and the concept of hype works. Imagine all the people that people like to look up to, the Bulla Rays and all these Anita Eskins and everything. Imagine you invested, let's assume that, they got associated. I like what you're doing with Araba Kunsen, for instance. She also has a great following, a lot of respect in the space, Bulare packs maybe an Escalade, and then we see he steps out and he's wearing some Wellington boots, pulls out cutlass, and then he gets on a farm, they are pulling some yams and all that, and then he talks and look, my name is Bulare, and blah, blah, blah. I know you know me as a broadcaster and all that, but really, what is really making my bank account look good? Agriculture. Consider it. It's cool to farm. And then he enters his Mercedes or whatever, drives away. We have an entire skin doing same. The young people will see agriculture as cool. They will begin to see it as something different. Because the people they look up to are now telling me that what you think is making me the money is not what's actually making me the money, it's in the soil. And you'll be shocked how instantly we'll start changing the narrative.
That's what is working. And in addition to everything else, it's not even just only the money. Yeah. But the fact that it's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool. And there's nothing to explain.
Yes.
If that's what your career interest is.
Yes, that's it.
So how did you come this experience finally?
So I was lucky. So I had finished Fanspam, and I did not even take literature in Fanspam school. Coincidentally, my very first time on stage in Fanspam was in The Gods Are Not to Blame. I played King Odewale. Coincidentally. thanks to Ms. Agri, God bless her. So I wasn't a literature student. I read history, economics, and geography. And I was in the drama club. So they had casted people. They just needed somebody to play that lead role.
But that was a lead.
I was tiny. And I still don't understand why Miss Agri picked me. You know. So I never had the opportunity to ask her. She passed, God bless her. So I played the lead and I fell in love with theatre. And I knew after that performance, when I started winning competitions in Cape Coast, I won the Student Drama Festival for Central Region. I won it for the whole country. We went on various competitions and we were always winning drama contests and doing all of that. So I knew this is where I wanted to be. So after school, I took the literature exam for SSC as a private candidate and I got an A. You know, so I knew where I wanted to go. I had applied to all universities. All had picked me, including the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI. I went for the NAFTI interview, everything I passed. My dad said, Lai, no way. I had to go to Legon. When I went to Legon, something took me to the School of Performing Arts, and I met Professor Martin Osu. We spoke. And Professor Martin Osu and my dad had been in Fanspen. You know, and I told him my interest and all that. So he had a conversation with my dad. And then he said, look, if it's the university he wants me to be in, School of Performing Arts, I just started a degree program in fine arts. So he would take care of me. He should let me come. So that's how I ended up at the School of Performing Arts.
You really owe that old man.
Oh, Professor Martin also, I owe him. And that's why we're going to honor him. You know. So yes, I went there and I haven't looked back since. It was the best decision I could ever make. Because I don't know how I'd have turned out as a lawyer. I mean, it was fun being at the School of Performing Arts. It was exciting. It was me.
What role does storytelling play in what you're doing right now? The past couple of minutes.
Storytelling is where it all begins. You cannot stage a play without telling a story. The same way a doctor cannot perform a surgery without knowing the medical history of the person. Stories are driven by history. All the same.
I tell you what, storytelling has become so big globally.
Yeah.
I mean, I stumbled on my son lecturing a course online in storytelling, and the kind of people were paying to watch all over the world. I was like,
yes.
You're joking.
Yes.
It's serious stuff.
Yes.
And the diverse professional backgrounds of people who were on the course.
Yes. Because it's a perfect way to relieve stress. Somebody to tell you, look, when you go to a shrink, as they call them, what do you think they do for you? They listen to your problems and tell you stories about your problems.
So now marketing people, now CEOs are looking at the fact that communication is all down to telling a story.
Yes, exactly.
And they point to direct economic benefits.
And look at when you attend seminars and workshops and conferences and stuff, the best speeches are all driven by stories. The people that deliver the best speeches are people that look at somebody like Uncle White. Every time Uncle White speaks, you are able to lift something and take home with you. You are able to remember easily because he situates his points in storytelling. And that is the best way to deliver a speech. If you want something to be remembered, why do reverends, men of God, do well? Because they situate every point they make. I love it when Reverend Dr. Mensah Otabil is teaching. I don't miss, especially the ones on Joy FM every afternoon. I don't miss it. Because there's always a story that he uses to deliver the point. Life is a story. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. Everything is a story. It is a connect. It is a link.
Did you ever think of becoming a preacher?
You never say never. I'm still waiting for that call. My big sister is actually a pastor at Lighthouse. It's now called Quaye Puku. And she's been a big inspiration in my life. She's been a big inspiration. Yes.
How do you manage being multi-talented? Because if anyone saw you do one of the things you do, they'll say, that's you. then they'll see another part and say, that's you. I mean, if you were on your late night show, or the payment show, or even in theater, if you were directing, they'll say that's you. If you're acting, they'll say that's you. I mean, how does a person manage being multi-talented?
I keep telling people that if I were ever going to be a doctor, I would have been a general practitioner. I wouldn't have specialized in anything per se. There's nothing wrong with specialization. But I believe strongly that if God blesses you with a skill, you need to understand everything you can do with that skill and do as many of them as you can. A long time ago when I stopped acting, I stopped acting for a while until Nashoko managed to pull me back with Run for Your Wife. I recall my big sister once told me that if I died and went to heaven, God would cane me. And I asked why. I said, because God has blessed me with so much talent, which I have.
For yourself or for you?
For me.
Okay.
She knows God had blessed me with so much talent. I have opened the box and dumped all the talent into it and locked it with the padlock and thrown away the key.
How many years ago was this?
So like 12, 13 years ago.
Is the cane still brewing or it's better now?
I thrown away the key. So I thought about it. So when I left Charterhouse in 2019, I decided to do events. We had that conversation even before I left. And thank you for the advice. And thanks to Uncle Ibu White as well. A lot of people don't even know that Image Bureau actually started with a check from Uncle Ibu White.
Wow.
Yeah, he supported us financially and we're very grateful.
Wow.
You know, this is the first time I've said it. I'm sure Uncle Ibu will kill me, but we're very grateful. We thank him for all the advice and the guidance and everything. You know. So, I mean, when Nashoko approached me, I hadn't thought of doing theatre. I thought I wanted to do events, TV shows, documentaries, and I wanted to do some communications and PR trainings. Sometimes I listened to a lot of CEOs give speeches, and I thought it was drab, it was boring, it wasn't inspirational, and I knew how those speeches could be better. I said, okay, it's not about whoever writes the speech. It's even about speeches should not just be read, they should be performed. You understand? So I wanted to go into CEO training, how to give speeches, how to speak publicly and all that. And that's what I said, look, let's do a play. Yeah, Run for Your Wife in 2011. And she wasn't, and she said, and at that time my director said, no, let's do it again. So I said, okay. So we started talking to people and we couldn't find anybody to play the lead role. All the people we spoke to were asking for too much money. We didn't have money at the time. I said, okay, I'll play it myself. So I took the script, I looked at it again, and then, yeah.
It's good.
It was good. And then, let me just say, this is how far God has brought us. When we finished The Gods Are Not to Blame, we decided to do, the original play is called An Inspector Calls. We adapted it and did a Detective Calls. You know, and after that, I recall very well, my former boss, Yola Yade, came to see it. And he said, look, I've seen Run for Your Wife. I've seen A Detective Called. They are both British plays that you guys have adapted. It's about time you did something African. And we said, yes, we've been discussing and we're looking at doing The Gods Are Not to Blame. So we went to see him at Charterhouse. We spoke about it. He gave advice. You know, we even wanted to bring in some Nigerian actors to come join us, but we couldn't afford them. So yeah, we decided let's do it on our own. And we did it, and we rehearsed for like 4 months. And then we staged it first time, 2nd of December, 2 shows, 3rd December, 2 shows. Then from 5th December, those that missed it saw the reviews on social media and all that. They were going crazy. Calls started coming in. So 18th, 19th, 20th December.
Which was the Monday one? I mean,
that was the 18th of December.
That was crazy.
Yes.
Monday.
Yes, and it was a full house. We had to turn people away. It was a full house, 18th December, Monday. Then Tuesday followed, then Wednesday followed.
Did you have any, I mean, whose idea was to attempt, because the place was booked, to attempt a Monday and Tuesday?
We couldn't find any other day. And okay, thanks to Charterhouse, I learned through eventing that in December, every day was a weekend. In December, especially. And thanks to this current administration and what they've done with the year of return and beyond the return and the December NGH activities, it's made December even bigger than it used to be. It's made December more relevant. Shouts to Mr. Quaye Ajiman. I keep telling him that I think he's done great for the sector. So we said, look, let's challenge ourselves. Let's give it a shot and see what's the worst that could happen. They won't come. If they won't come, they shouldn't come. So let's go. And thanks to the partnership from the Multimedia Group and Daily Guide, Joy FM and the team there, Mr. Kwesi Chum, Kenan Sa, Max Fuga, and everybody, thank them for the great support. So we went on a Monday, and by God's grace, we got a full house. Tuesday, full house. Wednesday, full house. Wednesday, we turned away about 500 people. In fact, we even had to refund monies to some people. So we decided to go again the following week, 27th and 28th December, 27th full house, 28th full house. And people started asking again, we missed it, we didn't see it, we missed it. So we decided to run it again this March for the last time. So we did March again. We did 2 weekdays and 1 Saturday, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of March. Great attendance. Not exactly full houses as compared to the previous shows, but very great patronage as well. So we've rested it. We finished.
I mean, for somebody who's holding their notebook, an industry player, saying, listening to George Quaye, my faith has been inspired.
Hallelujah.
I mean, my vim has risen.
Hallelujah.
Let's break down the science of it. What will be the critical success factors for a good production from where you sit?
The first is audience reaction, review, feedback. If the audience reaction is good, and you would know after the production, you'd know by what they write on social media. When you see people you do not know even slide into your social media DM, and it's the first time they've ever messaged you saying, Joe, that was a great production, you know you've done something right. So that's the first point of call when you look at the reactions from people. And don't look at the people that know you. Don't look at your family and your friends.
I'm biased, I told you.
Look, exactly. So look at the people you don't know, the strangers.
So mine is not scoring.
No, yours is not scoring because you have always been there. You've always supported us. You've always believed in us. And the public one, you do it, but the negative one, you do it privately. So we prefer the negative one from you, so that we'll grow. So publicly, look at the people that you don't know. Listen to the discussion on radio, on TV, and then always look at your attendance, because in PR and in advertising and marketing, there's no tool better than word of mouth. The 2nd of December show for The Gods Are Not to Blame, we did not get a very full house. The very top floor at the National Theatre still had a couple of empty seats. That was the first show at 4 p.m. The 8 p.m. show was better. The following day, larger. And for every single show, the crowd grew bigger and bigger until the point where we had to turn people away. So that is not radio delivering. That is not television delivering. That is not social media delivering. Well, that's partly social media because of what people will say on social media, but mostly it is word of mouth.
What was the role of your events background in all this? Don't underplay it.
I've never underplayed it. Never, ever underplayed it. A lot of the things that made The Gods Are Not to Blame spectacular was inspired by my event background. I understand lighting. A lot of theatre directors only know how to tell the story on stage. But I am fortunate, thanks to the team at Charterhouse, Yola Yuade, Mr. Philip Ayuso, who used to be there, and then, of course, Teresa Yuade, Niaite Hammond, Godfred Kumoji, Fred Darkon. I mean, it's a tall list of people. Thanks to these people, when the lighting man puts this light here, I can query it. I know the name of the light. I know its function. Sometimes I even understand how much electricity it's consuming. So I knew the kind of lights I wanted for the moods I wanted to create and how the people should feel. And all these little elements combined to give a great production. I understood sound. Because even when I was producing, or when we were producing the VGMAs, Mr. Hade will tell you, why has somebody been called and there is no music? Where's the DJ? Where's the sound? So even when somebody is walking onto the stage, we have to fill it with sound. That experience also put on the stage, you could tell that, look, never leave a moment empty. You could use music to create a mood. So the scene that made you cry was the scene, I'm sure, when Nashako discovered that this is my son. And that scene made a lot of people cry. And a lot of people said what really worked for them was the music.
Yeah.
How were we going to make the music stand out? By letting all the actors on stage, aside Nashako, freeze. So the only two elements that were working at that time was Nashako and the music.
This is science. This is
science, straight away. So the music was complementing the acting, and it was all going for the mood. That was the epic of the tragic moment. That moment was even sadder than Odewale plucking out his eyes. Yeah.
Once I went walking up the Ibri Saturday early morning walk, rehearsing my sermon in my mind.
You see, you're a performer.
And I got somewhere and I said, I didn't like a certain junction. Two thoughts that were converging. I didn't like the joint. So I redid it. And I told a friend of mine, my tennis mate, he's a banker, we call him No Weapon. I said, when I get there, the people will clap.
That's right.
I told him the exact reaction that would take
place. Yeah.
And it happened.
Yes.
And he says, how do you know?
Yeah.
And I said, before you get on stage, you know what you have.
know.
So you are telling me that you literally worked this place.
Yes, you need
at
to
the
work it.
climax. So my
Yes.
tears were not a surprise.
No, it wasn't a surprise to me. It wasn't, and all those around me, and a few elements that I knew would get people to talk. Using a real baby, for instance.
Hey, that was huge.
Yes, using a real baby.
And the baby, how many times did the baby had?
The baby played about 4 different roles. The baby was the only one that played about 4 different roles in that play. And the baby has performed in all the 13, so multiply 13 by 4.
52.
Yes.
Charlie, celebrity.
Celebrity baby. You know, and then there was another scene. You know, usually when people go and see plays, you know, elements like trees and stuff, they are already there. The flashback scene.
Hey.
The flashback scene, I knew it would get people. And that is where
the flaming sword was another thing because
Yes.
I saw you post.
I asked about it on
social media
Facebook.
and said, "Who can get me something like that?"
Yeah. I had seen it in Game of Thrones. And when I watched Game of Thrones, I could tell how they did it in Game of Thrones. A lot of it would be CGI. But I had to ask so that I would get opinions on how you could do it live.
But you know that also raised interest.
Yes, it did.
Interestingly, George,
did.
what's the greatest secret of your life? If someone were to ask you,
I don't understand impossible.
why?
I was made by God. If God makes everything possible, myself, I'm already a God. So I should be able to. He said he made me in his own image. So if he could create a world this big, there's nothing I cannot do. I just need to put my mind to it and find the funding to make it happen. Everything is possible.
If you buy me lunch next time, I'll tell you the 2 greatest secrets of my life. My name is Albert Okran, and my guest for today has been George Quaye. I love George Quaye, and he knows it. And Comfort and I treasure our friendship with him, and it dates back several years. And George, it's always an honor to have you come in and share your thoughts. And let's continue this conversation big on social media. Finding yourself in the midst of the noise, in the midst of all the options. What's the real you? When everything is stripped of what is left. And that is a huge conversation that every one of us must engage with. George, I won't let you leave without saying a couple of thank yous. I know you run the risk of leaving somebody behind, but it's better to take some than none at all.
Exactly.
So when you sit here today, looking back at the story of your life and some of the most incredible things that have happened, who are some of the people that you feel indebted to?
Let me start from my very first boss, Richard Prempe. I recall after university, I was going to leave Ghana to go and sweep in London. And Richard Prempe said, so I started working with him at Village Communications. My first exposure to these equipment, cameras and stuff. If you speak to Papa Sako, our friend here, Kobe Arthur, Kobe will tell you that I edit, I script, I produce, I direct, I can operate the camera, I can operate lights, I can operate sound. Almost everything connected to production I can do. And I learned a lot of that from Village Communications. I thank Mr. Richard Prempe for that. Then to Charterhouse, where I spent 14 years of my life. At Charterhouse, I obtained a master's degree. I got married while I was at Charterhouse. I built my home and all that. And I became quite good with event planning. When I joined Charterhouse, I didn't know anything about events. I learned all of that from Charterhouse. I got to understand Lighten better because when you spend time with Mr. Iola Yade, I do not know how that man knows everything. In fact, that man is the reason I want to know everything. And almost everything that concerns the work that I do, I want to probe, I want to ask. This man has a banking background, but he's talking to carpenters and he understands the length, the breadth, the height. He understands it even better than the carpenters he's talking to, but he's not a carpenter. He's talking to lighten people and he understands the moons, the temperature, how it's going to fall on the skin, the angle. And he's not an electrician. He's talking to sound people and he understands how the speakers should be rigged because the people at the back here would not. Or you have to use repeaters. You have to use that to avoid the echo. You need to position it. And he is not a sound technician. You know, he's under staging. He's drawing stages. So I picked a lot of stuff from him, working with him, you know, and all that because if he can know everything, I should be able to know everything. Because if you want to be in his good books, you must come well. He must have tons of ideas. So he did inspire me a lot. And somebody like Mr. Philip Ayusu also added the business part of it. Yes, be creative, be crazy, but keep an eye on the numbers as well, and all that. And of course, to Madam Teresa, Mrs. Teresa Ayuade, God bless her as well for all the guidance, the friendship, and to the entire team at Charterhouse. I started working at Charterhouse under the tutelage of Fred Darko, CEO of Evolution International. And Fred has always been a friend. And of course, I got a lot of inspiration from Nia Ite Hammond as well. These are people I thank. However, when I broke away to start something new, somebody that I owe a lot to are people like yourselves and people like Uncle White. And to a gentleman who I met in Fanspam way back in 1996, he's the administrator for Jubail Specialist Hospital, Mr. Kofi Ameniampong, who actually, on my birthday in 2019, he sent me a voice note and a gift. That voice note was part of the reasons we started Image Bureau. He was my co-entertainment prefect in Fanspam School. And that voice note, in a nutshell, said, it was time we started working together. He didn't believe it was an accident that we were made entertainment prefect in Fanspam School. He thinks it's supposed to go on, and he wasn't wrong. We brought on my lawyer friend, who's also a partner, who was also the library prefect when we were in Fanspam School. So Image Bureau is owned purely by Fanspam students, 3 Fanspam people, and we have a little farm as well, and I'm super, super, super grateful. But the one that I probably should owe a lot to is my wife. How Mrs. Pearl Quaye, she works with Zenith Bank, hello, sweetie, how she's managed to tolerate my nonsense, I don't know how.
And you have a lot of it.
Yes, a lot of it. How she's managed to tolerate it, how she's managed to help me build a home, how she's managed to keep me stable. It is just grace. I don't call her angel just because it's a beautiful word. I call her an angel because I truly believe she's God sent. And had it not been for her, I really don't think I would be here today, because it's not been that easy. It's been a tough, long road. And she's the reason I have a home. She's the reason I have a master's degree. And she's the reason I'll probably be going back to school very soon, because she's always pushing you to achieve something. She's always pushing you to do more. She's always pushing you to do something different. If every man in Ghana had a wife like her, Ghana would be a much better place. I am blessed to have her, and I'm truly grateful to her and to her family as well. Her mother is a gem. I have the best mother-in-law in Ghana. I'm blessed.
This is the best I've seen of you ever since I got to know you. Let me greet your friends at April.
Yes,
April
I was coming there.
Nashoko
for finding me. I keep saying, had it not been for Nashoko, I wouldn't be doing theatre.
I feel
I wouldn't be doing theatre.
Wow.
I would not. I would have nothing doing with theatre. So I owe Nashoko a ton of gratitude, and Nashoko and Apefa Mfujo, I love them to bits, If my wife is not there, these are my wives. I love them to bits.
What's your comfort?
Oh, comfort and I is a different story. Comfort is my mother wife.
You remind me.
No.
You remind me of when you were acting. Which one was that?
Raphael wife.
You have 2 wives, and
comfort is my mother wife.
This one.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
Comfort is my mother wife. These 2 ladies, they are the ones who are able to insult me properly. My wife is shy of me more. She respects me more. But these 2 ladies, they are able to. I prefer, blah 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 blah. Oh, yeah. Then Nashoko goes, and all
one is Chi, one is Ghana.
Yeah, one is. Apefa is actually everywhere, and Nashoko is Ghana, but we speak Chi and all that. And of course, to all my siblings, my brothers, my sisters, my stepmother, she's also a great woman. And I've lost my parents, but I still owe them a debt of gratitude. My dad for all the books, the library at home, and my mom for being a performer. Everything performance related about me, I think I picked it for my mom. And I thank her for that.
This has been Springboard Yale Virtual University. My guest has been George Quaye. George will come back for another conversation. I can tell you the topic in advance. It's going to be about communications.
Amen.
That course he wanted to organize for CEOs about how to say it better. We'll bring George back and have that conversation. Bookmark it and get ready for another part of George Quaye. He's given me about 17 talents. He didn't mention that one, but we'll talk about that one next time it comes. Until then, this has been brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group, our friends at Multimedia, and of course, the Daily Graphic. So we come away again next week. My name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.